David has had his own project management company, Crystal Ball Projects, providing training and consultancy services. Now he wants you to pretend that you are project managers and you're attending a workshop to discuss deadly deadlines and other project management challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, David MacLeod.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow project managers, there are three things a project manager needs to be successful in this busy, dynamic world. One, you need clarity. What is it I've actually been asked to do by my company? Secondly, you need capability. Do I know how to do what I've been asked to do by my company? And thirdly, you need confidence. You need to be able to stand up for yourself and defend your project plan in the face of sometimes unremitting pressure to do things more quickly and more cheaply. And you get the confidence from the clarity and the capability. When I was looking for a name for my project management company, I came up with Crystal Ball. Why Crystal Ball, do you think? Because that's the most common answer from project managers to the question, what's the single most important tool that would help you do your job as a project manager? Because when you're asked to conduct a project, you're being asked to predict the future. Do you realise that? You're being asked to predict the future. When you present your project plan to your company, you're saying the future's going to look like these bits of paper. That's amazing. How many of you can tell the future? That's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Yeah. Well, having called the company Crystal Ball, I decided I better get a crystal ball. And this is it. It is a stunningly beautiful piece of glass. But it's got a serious manufacturing flaw. There's no on switch. Our whole business plan's been shot to pieces. It doesn't work. So instead, what do we need? If the crystal ball doesn't actually work, instead we need crystal clear thinking. I look for motivation to one of my favourite singers, Dolly Parton. Anybody else? There are two things I like about Dolly Parton. Firstly, her life story. It's amazing. She was one of, I don't know how many children, 10, 12? From a life of poverty, she grew up to be an international, worldwide star. An amazing story. And secondly, of course, Islands in the Street with Kenny Rogers. What a fabulous song. Two things about Dolly. She wrote another song called These Old Bones. Anyone heard that one? She sings two different people in the song. It's quite an interesting technique. One person is a little old lady who tells the future from old bones. She keeps a little bag, she throws the bones out, she tells the future. The second person is Dolly, as a young girl listening to this old lady. And the end of the song, the last line, is, the magic is inside you. There ain't no crystal ball. So we've got to look inside ourselves to get that clarity, that capability, and that confidence. And that's what I think we can get from crystal ball projects. Projects don't get a very good name these days, do they? You'll find lots of reports about projects. If you go to standish.com, you'll find this report. Originally written in 1995, updated every year since. The original statistics reviewed 13,500 IT projects, so-called, in the USA. 13,500. Out of that, think how many billions of dollars that was in investment. Only a third were classed as successful by their companies. A third. 2/3 of that investment wiped away. 51% were over budget. How many were late? 82%. These figures haven't changed much over the years. They're all about the same number. 60, 70, 80% of projects don't hit their constraints, budgets and deadlines. When you run projects, are you given a deadline usually? Say yes. Yes. Because you are. And organisations, where do they get these deadlines from? They're plucked out of the calendar. It would be good if you could do it by then. Do what? We don't know yet, but we want it done by then. How are you expected to do that as a project manager? Well, the first thing you need to do is think. And have you ever noticed you've been sat at your desk, you're actually thinking, the boss comes along and says, what are you doing? You say, I'm thinking. He said, well, stop that, do some work. And the plan is what will tell you whether you can meet those deadly deadlines that get presented to you or not. Because it's not a case of just saying, sir, I shall do my best, which is what I did for 30 years as a project manager until I found out what I should have been doing. It's not good enough just to say, I'll do my best. You need to know as best you can that it is a feasible and realistic deadline. I'll keep some newspaper headlines. This is one from a few years ago, as you can tell. £4 billion shambles of unreliable new trains. The British press love a negative story, don't they? Love it. This was a project to replace slam door trains with corridor trains. Didn't go too well. So the National Audit Office called in, the government called in the National Audit Office, as they usually do, to say, tell us why we screwed it up this time. So this is the NAO report. If you go to the NAO website, you'll find all of these there. And this paragraph here is really interesting. The December 2004 deadline for the removal of the oldest slam door train seems to have been set without any attempt to find out if it was feasible or realistic. Without any attempt to find out if it was feasible or realistic. Whose job is it to say that the deadline is feasible and realistic? Yours. Yours. Mine. It's the project manager who has to tell the organisation, yeah, that date's a good date. We can do that. It is feasible and it is realistic. It is pointless for you to step into the do-it phase thinking we're off, unless you've got a pretty good idea that you can actually achieve it. You've been entrusted potentially with hundreds of millions of pounds from your organisation to deliver their future. Because organisations run projects to change their future, to make their future better. And it's our job to make that future better. And the only way we can do it is if we take some time to think about it, to get the clarity. Because what you're told frequently isn't that clear. So you need to take time to get clarity. You need to learn some tools and techniques. And Crystal Ball are happy to help you to do that. Learn some tools and techniques. Born out of bitter experience, lessons learned over the years, I can give you some tools and techniques. Things that I did not so well, and now I can see why. You get the clarity, you get the capability. And with that, you'll have the confidence to stand up and defend yourself against people who try and make you do silly things. That's it.
Lovely.